Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and to today's video where we are going to be talking about all things Etsy and e-commerce. So I asked you over on my Instagram stories and on my Facebook group what your burning questions were if you are thinking about starting up your own Etsy or your own web shop. So that's what I'm going to be answering today, some of those questions that we have got. So let's get into it. Okay, so our first question comes from Ida Marie Artist, and she asks, is it worth it since the fees are quite high? So I'm going to just mention Etsy in particular here because there's a lot of kerfuffle going on about Etsy and their fee structuring system, and like having this thing pushed out where once you reach $10,000 on Etsy then you're automatically enrolled into this advertising thing. I think personally that Etsy's fees are justifiable because they have a large audience already sitting there that are going to see your products, that Etsy can kind of push everything out to if you do the correct SEO and like optimize your listings and that kind of thing. I think their fees are justified in that area because can you imagine starting off your web shop on your own, you've got absolutely no audience, and you're going to have to try and build that audience and push your products out yourself. It's going to be a hard slog. Trust me, it's going to be really, really difficult. Whereas you're paying a fee to Etsy, yes, it might be quite high, but just think about the potential audience that they have sitting there. There are millions of people that shop on Etsy every single year, and you're going to be paying quite a small price, if I'm honest, to reach that Etsy's audience. And you don't have to do anything for it. Obviously you have to put in the time and effort for SEO and optimization and stuff, which we'll cover later, but in essence you can put your product up and it will get seen by people and you don't really have to do anything for it. You don't even have to market on your own channels or anything. There's just going to be people on Etsy that are browsing and they're going to come across your product and it's going to be organic like that. So I think Etsy's fees are justifiable. And as for your own web shop or anything like that, if you do start your own web shop, you still have things like Etsy fees, you still have fees to pay to different web developers or whatever shop plugin you're using. So Shopify, they take a fee. Things like WooCommerce, even Wix and Squarespace, you all have to pay a kind of fee to them, as well as when you make a transaction through PayPal, they take a fee as well. Albeit it's not as high as Etsy, but again, with your own web shop and stuff like that, you have to have a core audience, or at least have an audience that is going to be willing to buy from you, I think, before you make it worth your while there. So our next question on Instagram is from Kazma, and they've asked how to mail original artworks and prints without risk of damage. So the best thing for original artwork and prints, especially if they're mounted prints, is to make sure that you send in a well packaged box. Hopefully I'm going to have some footage here where I can show you exactly how I package and what you should and shouldn't do. So if that's there, that will be rolling. If not, you're just going to see my face. But basically you want to make sure that you have a large enough box that is going to be able to be padded on both sides for the original artwork or print. And you also want to make sure when you're sending prints and artwork that you sandwich them really well between some really solid board. So you can use something like a hard board, like a thin piece of MDF, like that's usually quite lightweight. You can even use some bits of foam, just something that you can sandwich the print or the portrait between so that it's cushioned, and then around that kind of frame that you've built of some kind of hard wood or some really strong cardboard, then you want to make sure that you add in some packing peanuts or some of that like really structured tissue or some shredded paper or something that's really going to cushion. You want to make sure that you maybe put some little caps on the corners of the cardboard as well, or the piece that you're sending, just in case you do get some like movement in the box. But you want to make sure that if it's original art especially, that it is really sandwich well between some really solid cardboard or some hardboard, and you want to make sure that the box that you're packing it in is really full of extra packaging material, so bubble wrap, anything like that that's just going to protect it. And the box that you're sending it in, you want to make sure that it is a solid box. I've had experience before where I've sent something in like the Amazon packets that you get, like the kind of envelope book wrap type things. Those aren't going to be substantial enough to send an original artwork in. It might be okay for a print, but for an original artwork in particular, they're not going to be strong enough. So you want to make sure that the box you're sending has some really solid cardboard walls and that it's not going to be able to be easily squashed, especially if you're sending it overseas. That's most important. If you're sending it within the same sort of territory, generally it's okay to have like a weaker walled box. But if you're sending it overseas or anything like that, you want to make sure that the walls of the box that you're using are really strong and that you pack it really, really well, really tightly with packaging materials as well. Zoomy_X asked about marketing, SEO and growth. So SEO is a really complicated one, and there's a whole lot of things that you can actually do about SEO optimization and all of that kind of thing. I'm actually going to leave a link to a free Google course that you can follow along with, and you can get certified after following it as well. That is all about SEO and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to leave that in the description below for you guys. It's really worth a check out. I'm through it halfway myself as well, and it's been really helpful with learning about SEO, what to do, what websites look for and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to leave the link in the description below for that. But basically, SEO on Etsy, you want to make sure that you research your product tags. So the tags of your products need to be relevant to the product that you're creating. So for instance, if you have like a red squirrel greetings card, some of your tags could be red squirrel, greeting cards, kind of like generic type of things. But you also want to make sure that you add in some things that people might search for that are a little bit odd. So some people might search for just squirrel greeting cards or rodent greeting card or something like that. So think of alternatives to the type of item that you're actually selling. And a good thing to do is actually search in Etsy by typing in red squirrel and then see what pops up in the pre-filled thing underneath. So when you type in like Google or something, if you type in how to, it will come up with a list of suggestions. So you want to do the same sort of thing for Etsy. So if you've got a red squirrel item, you can type in red squirrel and see what kind of pre-filled things pop up when that's typed in. So it might be red squirrel gift, so that might be an alternative keyword that you could use for that particular item. So have a look at doing things like that, maybe even typing in on Google as well, see what comes up when you type in red squirrel. Another item that comes up often when, particularly when selling artwork, is the word print. So you could do red squirrel print, woodland print, anything like that. So you want to think of kind of similar kind of keywords and maybe things that are similar to the item that you're selling. So as I said, if it's a red squirrel, things like woodland and all of that would be good keywords to use. As for marketing with this particular question, the best thing to do for marketing is to create your own email list. So use something like MailChimp and gather your customers' emails with their permission, of course, and create your own email marketing list. And just make sure that you send out email blasts about any new products, any new collections or launches that you've got planned. So perhaps you have got planned that you're going to launch a range of greetings cards. Again, I'm using that example. You want to make sure that you are informing your email list and anybody on social media that you have following you as well. So on your Instagram page, on your Facebook page, if you have a YouTube channel, make sure you include those as well. So make sure that you announce on your social media pages and also build that all important email list and make sure that you are informing them that you have something coming up, this is what you're working on, and this is when it's going to be released or available. And just make sure that you keep everybody informed. Make sure you have like a personable approach as well, so kind of develop your own kind of voice and your own kind of language that fits your branding as well. I get really passionate about this. I could really talk about this all the time, so I wanted some specific questions here. In essence, basically what you want to do is just make sure that you post on your social media pages and that you send out emails. You build your own list of emails that you've collected of people that want to hear from you, because if your social media pages go down, then at least you have that email list that you can send out to, and that's where the primary thing that people are going to be buying from. So make sure that you build an email list and just make sure that you keep everybody in the loop about what's coming up and what you're working on. So M. Peters Art asks, I hope I said that right, how to calculate all of the shipping before listing. So if you're unsure about any kind of shipping or anything, the best thing to do is to take your item and package it up how you would package it, put it in the envelope with relevant labels and everything that you're going to add into the package on it. You want to make sure that you weigh it so that you know the weight, and then whatever kind of postal service you're going to be offering, make sure that you look up that particular postal service offering and see what kind of shipping rates there are available. So in my example, I use Royal Mail Click and Drop for all of mine, and I can send small letters, large letters, small parcels and medium parcels through there. So I make sure that anything that I'm listing is going to be within the weight limit and the size limit of those particular options, and then I get the price because it gives me a predefined price. So then when I'm listing that item, I can know that it's going to be a regular letter, going letter mail, is going to weigh this much, so I can put the item weight as a particular amount, and then it's going to calculate the postage automatically for me that way. So just make sure that with any items that you're making sure that you weigh them, so you know how much they're going to weigh and what the postal dimensions are going to be as well. Holly Hunter Art asks, I look forward to watching this. Thank you. Enjoy. I tried to set Etsy up but was clueless. She wants to know the basics of uploading. Okay, so the basics of uploading an Etsy listing, you want to make sure that you have some solid photos of whatever it is that you're listing, and those photos need to be well lit, clear and obvious what the item is going to be. That's basically what you want with a photo. So if you take a look at my Etsy shop, I've got clear photos of cards and any other items that are in my shop, so you know exactly what it is. And when you are looking at your Etsy listings in particular, you want to make sure that your title is describing what the item is as well. So again, looking at mine, I kind of have things like B card, greetings card, blank inside, that kind of things, kind of describing the item. Now Etsy does actually like to reward you for using actual long keywords, so not necessarily using like the format that I've got at the moment. They don't really reward you so much for doing that type of thing, but you want to make sure that you use something like, I don't know, Robin card, the size and any colours it may contain or anything like that, or even the name of the artwork, that kind of thing. But you want to make sure that the things that you're including in your title are kind of the things that are in your tags as well, so you can refer your tags to your title and you can kind of get that cross-reference, which is going to boost your SEO, which is going to boost your listing as well. With your item descriptions, you want to make sure that you are as descriptive as possible, even though in my experience a lot of people don't actually read the descriptions of items. It's always good to have it there because then you can refer back to it. So if someone comes back to you and says, oh, I didn't know it was this size, you can say, well, it's stated in the listing in the description. So you want to make sure in your listing description you put a really good description of what the item is and how it can help the person or help improve their life. So think of how, like, if you're selling candles, what the candle could do for them, what the smell could kind of invoke and that kind of thing. So think of ways in which the user could actually use and utilize the item, include that in the item description, along with any relevant pieces of information like size, weight, scent, anything like that, if it's made from recycled materials. Also in your description, you want to make sure that you include things about your dispatch times and all of that kind of stuff. And as I mentioned before, with like weights of items and postage, make sure that you weigh and measure everything beforehand so you know exactly how they're going to go, and then you will have all of your postage side of things all set up as well, so you won't have to think about anything. But generally you just want to make sure you have good titles and a good description and some good photos, and your listing will be well on its way. So those are pretty much all the questions that we had. A lot of them were repeating themselves, so we've got a lot of things about fees and a lot of things about packaging, so hopefully answering those two core questions have helped you guys and like given you a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of insight as to how I would particularly do things and my thoughts on things. Obviously the way that I do things and my thoughts aren't say all and be all. Everybody's opinion is different, so my opinion of the Etsy fees may be completely different to someone else's. As I said, the Etsy fees for me, I don't mind them because they're putting my products out in front of people that wouldn't organically maybe reach me or know about me, so I'm fine with that, especially as someone that's starting off as well. Just make sure that you combine your fees into your listing price and you shouldn't have to worry about any of the fees or anything like that. So we've kind of covered all of the kind of basics of Etsy. So we've covered that you need good photos, good titles, good tags for SEO optimization and a decent description as well. Etsy really rewards you for being consistent with your shop and for shipping things out quickly. So when you get orders through Etsy, the quicker that you can ship them, the better. And also I found that it's better to list fewer items, so 3 or less of an item, so that they sell out quickly, so that it boosts your search results. So if you have 3 items, they sell out and then you renew, it gives you a little boost, pushes you up the page and gets more people seeing you on the first page. So when you're doing your SEO optimization and trying to boost your listings, you want to try and make sure that you're getting onto the first page of Etsy results based on the tags and everything that you're putting in. So you want to basically monitor your Etsy listings every single month or every couple of months and just see how well they're performing, how many people they're reaching. You can see all that in the Etsy stats on the Etsy dashboard and everything like that. And then you just want to tweak any tags or anything that you feel needs tweaking. So if something's not performing very well, you want to tweak the tags and see how well it performs in the next couple months. But if something is performing really well, you want to make sure that you keep that one and leave it alone, because obviously that one is doing and performing really well. Something that you've done there is reaching the Etsy algorithm and it's really liking it, so it's reaching a lot of people. So if there are listings that are doing really well, leave them alone. But things that aren't, just have a little play with your tags. It's often a bit of luck when it comes to SEO and that kind of thing as to what's going to actually pick up in the algorithm. So you just have to kind of be patient and make sure that you're just monitoring your listings and just putting your all in and keeping on top of it. But as I said, making sure that you're shipping out your listings and your orders as soon as possible, so sometimes before the dispatch dates that you've put is really good, and just keeping on top and like renewing your listings, tweaking them every now and then. Etsy really rewards you when you are active on Etsy and putting in effort, so just make sure that you're consistent with doing that and you should be all good. If you have any other Etsy questions, I would love to answer them for you. Make sure that you put them in the comments below and let me know if you would like more Etsy kind of content in the future or running your own web shop as well. I kind of included a little bit of web shop in this kind of Q&A thing, but I tried to keep it like Etsy related as well. But if you have any questions regarding like web shop orders or how to handle it, or anything that you think you need to know or would like to know, please make sure that you pop them in the comments below, because I want to bring that kind of content to you and help you grow your career as well as your art as well. But that's pretty much all that I have for you today. I really hope that you found this video useful. If you did, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye!